Hello, I'm Jane and welcome to this video tutorial. We're using PaintShop Pro. This is version X8. If you've never used it before and you've gone and got the free trial download, the new version X9 is out at the moment. It isn't very much different in terms of how it looks, and so you should be able to follow along quite easily. When you first open PaintShop Pro, it will open in this Manage screen. We're not going to be using that today, we're going to be using the Edit screen, and that's accessed by clicking on this tab called Edit. If I click that now, we'll see the screen do a little dance, and we'll get something like this. I've changed this to the default workspace. This is what you will see if you've never used PaintShop Pro before or customized it to suit yourself. This is the screen that you will see. You can work in this screen if you wish to. I'm going to switch to my own customized space because I find it easier. I will explain as I go along what tools I'm using and how to access them. If I forget and use my little shortcuts, I'll try and remember to tell you. So I'm going to switch now to my own workspace. It'll do another little dance and jig. And as you can see, that is quite a lot different. I've moved all my toolbars and I've got lots of extra icons, and I've done that so that I can do things with one click instead of maybe 2 or 3 using the file menus. I will try and explain, as I've said, as I go along what I'm doing so that you can see easily. Now, before we start, we're going to be making a project. I'm going to assume you know how to make a folder in Windows to save images and documents to. Here it would be, I've got it in Digital Toolbox Tutorials, and I've called it Valentine card because that's what we're going to make. Windows doesn't show me a preview when it's a native PSP image. What's a native PSP image, you ask? Well, it's the one that saves all the layer information, and that'll be coming clear as we work. So you can't actually see there what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to just click out of that. I use a program called ACDC to organise photos and things. And if I open that, you'll see this is the same folder, Digital Toolbox, Tutorials, Valentine card, and here you can see I had a little practice first before recording this just to make sure I knew what I was doing, and you can see it there. This is what we're going to try and achieve today. Down here, ACDC has a useful little thing called Image Basket that you can drag supplies into that you know you're going to use. It saves you having to hunt for them while you're working. This is the original card that I made, and you can drag that into the workspace. You can see there I've got a little square. If I let go now, it will open. And this is the one that I made for a friend, and we're going to sort of copy it. Over here on the right you can see now I've got all these layers, lots and lots and lots of them. A little bit scary, I know, but don't worry about it. We'll just dive right in and learn as we go. The first thing I want you to do is a couple of things that will make following this tutorial easier. I want you to go to File, Preferences, General Program Preferences, and then click Units, which is already showing here. I was already in Units. display inches, and the default setting in PaintShop Pro I think is 200 pixels per inch. Change it to 300. When you're doing digital graphics and such like, especially digital scrapbooking, nearly everything is at 300 pixels per inch. If you set your own resolution to that, everything that you ever download should fit properly and look like it's supposed to. So just change that to 300. Click OK. The next thing we're going to do is set some grid options, and that's under View, Grid, Guide and Snap Properties. The default setting here is 10 pixels per grid. The image that's open I've changed because I work in inches, and I've saved it to 0.125. That's about 1/8 of an inch per grid. So I want you to do the same when we open an image, so I'll show you that in a moment. So let's open our new image. So we'll go to File, New, and you'll get this dialog box. You can see I've actually already got the measurements in because I was practicing earlier, and you want to set your units to inches. You want a width of 4.133 and a height of 5.847, and again you can check that the resolution is right here, 300 pixels per inch. We want a raster background just for the sake of it, and I've changed the colour here to black because the card that I made did have a black background, so let's set that to black. If it isn't black, you click in the box, it brings up the material properties. You've got lots of options, you've got wheel, slider and swatch, but we'll use the wheel and just drag it all the way to the bottom for the black. Click OK and click OK. Now let's go and set those grids so that you can see them. To turn the grid on, go to View, Grid. You can use a keyboard shortcut. You can see the letters there, Control plus Alt plus G. I can't press all those at once, so I'll click, and you can see the one that we've just made is at 10 pixels, and you can see there's lots more squares than there is on mine over here. So let's change that. As I mentioned earlier, we'll go to Grid, Guide and Snap Properties. Current image settings. If you change this one only, it won't affect your default settings. So let's put in our 0.125, tab 0.125 and click OK. There we go, that looks a little bit better. Next we're going to put on a couple of guides. Guides are dragged out from the ruler. Now there's something I haven't mentioned. Have you got your ruler showing? If not, you go to View, Rulers, and that's Control plus R, Alt plus R, and you just do the usual click to check it. To draw a guide, you click anywhere in the ruler, hold your mouse down, you can see mine have come on the other side, and you drag. Can you see that line? So let's drag it sort of to the middle, and then to set it exactly, I know I want it halfway, and that's 2.067. So if you go up to this blue tab in the ruler there and double click, it tells me I've only got it at 1.9, so let's change that to 2.067 and press enter. So I know that's my centre point. Now let's drag one down from the top ruler, and that wants to be, if we double click on the little blue handle there, 2.92. and OK. Right, so that's our preparation done. We've got our grid and we've got our border. To turn off the grid and layers at any time, you can use the view menu and remove the checks. We also want snap to grid on, it becomes quite useful. And we'll also put snap to guides on. If you can remember your keyboard shortcuts, you can turn them on and off without having to go to this menu. And here's where I've done something to customize my workspace so that I don't have to go to the view menu. Up here I can turn them on and off with these icons. So if I click this one, this is guides, I can make them disappear, and if I toggle this one, I can make my grid disappear. I'll put them back on for the moment. I don't need guides at the moment, so we'll leave that off just for now. Right, let's make a start. We'll leave it at 48% view, and the first thing we're going to do is add a new raster layer. Again, you can do that via this menu, layers, new raster layer up there. It should also be on this layers palette over here, this little thing here, look, new layer. And if you click the little arrow, you can do it from there, new raster layer. Let's call this design area number 1 and click OK. Next, we're going to fill this layer with white. Over here we've got materials boxes. This is called a foreground and stroke box. That's a stroke is an outline, and we want that to be white because when you're filling something with the paint bucket tool or the flood fill tool here, it uses the colour in this foreground box. A quick way to reset things is to click this little square here that says set to black and white, so I'm going to do that. And then I want to make sure that white is at the top in that foreground, and I can use this little two-headed arrow to swap the materials. So now I know that that's white. I'm going to click on my flood fill tool. Now this toolbar will probably be on your left if you're still in the default view, so just look for the paint bucket and click it. And up here on the left you'll get some new preferences. You've got match mode, none. I'll talk about that probably in other videos, we don't need that for now. You want to make sure use all layers is unchecked, the blend mode will be normal, and you want full opacity. And then you just click anywhere and fill it with white. Now I want to bring it in to make that border. So I'm going to use this pick tool. It might say move, but you want this one, pick. And hopefully you can see you've got now a centre button and also some little squares on the side there that change to little arrows. Can you see when you hover over them? Now we've got our grid on. I did do snap to grid, didn't I? Yes, I did. So that's on. So then I want you to pull it up one little square. That's why we set our grid so that all we had to do was that, and it will snap to that line. So there's our design mat. In other words, this is the white bit that we might print and cut out later, or it's just the design area. So that's that little job done. Our next job is to do the text. That is with this text tool with the T, so let's click that. PaintShop Pro gives you the option to do text in vectors. I would always recommend doing text in vectors on a vector layer. You can always change it later when you want to add effects. So for now we're going to be doing it on a vector layer. And so you can add a new vector layer from here, but when you have a raster layer like our mat there and you click the text tool and you just click anywhere, it will automatically add a new layer called vector 1. I'm just going to undo that for now. Let's put our guides back on and let's set our text. I've got the font size here set to 14. I've chosen Times New Roman. It's not the font I originally used, but I wanted to make sure it would be one that you probably had on your computer. You want to set the alignment to centre. Anti-alias smooth, that just means it smooths the letters. Stroke width, that remember is the outline. You want that set to 0. And you want to make sure create as vector is checked. None of these other ones at the moment you need to bother about. I'm going to just set that back to 0 because I want to show you how we do that in a minute. That's called kerning. That's letter spacing. We'll be looking at that in a minute. So looking at the one that I've done on the left, let's put our tool over that centre line. We know the text is going to be centred. Click once, you'll get a little flashing cursor. Put your capitals lock on and write sending you. Now, I thought here that the letters were a little close together, so you can highlight the text, and then if we go back up here, kerning is the letter spacing. So let's do 25, no, let's go a bit more, let's do 50. And hopefully you saw that it just jumps a little, the letters. So set it at 50. I should also have said we set our background, that's the fill colour, to black. The white is actually set, but because our width here for stroke is 0, it's not putting an outline around anything. Sometimes though you forget to set that stroke width to 0. So the other thing you can do to make sure you never have any outlines when you don't want them is to click this little checkerboard square here and make it transparent, and that way you won't accidentally get an outline around your text. So that will do for now. Click the Apply Changes tick here. Now we're going to do the word love, and that's going to be bigger. We can put it on the same vector layer, so while we're here, let's rename this. You click on it, click again until it comes up with a little white box, and then you can put text. I prefer my layers named in lowercase, so let's change back to lowercase and press enter. We should start saving our work as we go along. PaintShop Pro can be a bit notorious for crashing when you least want it to. So click the save button on the toolbar here, or of course you can go to File and Save. You heard me mention that this is a PSP image, and that's why it's not showing in Windows as a preview. And you can see that is here, Save File as Type PSP image. If yours doesn't say that, go and find it in the list. Here it is. Once you've used a few, you get 4 of your most used ones at the top of the list here. So we'll click that, and you can just highlight that. I'll call it Valentine Front 02 because I've already done 01, and click Save. That means now if I ever lost this image and I opened it again, these 3 layers that I've done so far will all be still intact and separate, which means I can carry on editing. So now let's do our next word, love. You can see that this vector layer has got a little arrow next to it. If I click that, you can see that it's got a text layer, sending you. So now we're going to do the word love. I want that in red, and for ease and quickness, we're going to click this box to open our material properties. And you can see I've got a little dropper that when I hover over this image changes colour. And we're going to use this red. And click OK. I'm going to change the size to 36. I've left the kerning at 50. I don't know if that will work or not, we'll see. And let's type in capitals the word love. You can see that it almost fits exactly under the sending you, which is what I wanted, but it is looking a little thin. So we're going to highlight it. Now I didn't like it when I just did bold. I thought that looked a bit too thick. So I'm going to take bold off, and we are actually going to add an outline or a stroke. 2. And then we need to change the colour. So let's go back to our checker box. Click inside because we don't want a white outline. I want the same colour. You can see it's made it just a little bit thicker, but not like it did when it was bold. If I kept adding, you can see it gets thicker and thicker. I think we'll go for 3. Oh no, maybe, yeah, 3 is nice. Apply changes. The next thing is to make sure that I've got my spacing, and you can move the layer down with this love word by clicking in the middle and just dragging it down. Now you're thinking, Jane, that's not moving, and that's because I've got my snap to grid on. Now you can turn the snap to grid off like I told you by view, or another way is simply to turn the grid off and then it won't be snapping anymore. So I can pull it down a little. Let's put sending you, make sure that is actually centered. Yeah, I think that'll do. I'll put my grid back on. Do I like that? Yes, it'll do. But we might move the whole thing down just to there. There we go. Yeah, that will do nicely. So I can click that and we're ready for the next stage. We're going to draw the envelope next. So you're going to learn how to use vector shapes. I do lots of things with vectors. It's this tool underneath the T for text. This is the preset shape tool. It might be showing the little call out bubble on your view, but underneath it you've got these other options. Today we're going to use this one, the rectangle. So click rectangle. Now we do need a new layer for this. because we don't want it going with our text, which it would do if I just carried on now. So let's do new vector layer and call this, and take the capitals off Jane, envelope back. And my spelling and typing is a little back this morning. So now anything I draw, because I'm on this layer that's highlighted in blue, will go there, which is where I want it. I don't want any outlines again, so I'm going to make that stroke box transparent. And here, I don't want a colour, I've got a pattern that I've called craft paper. Now you won't have this, so you might have to just make do with something or use a brownish colour that you can pick. I'm going to just quickly scroll down through all mine. It's here, JB Craft Original. Click OK. We've got all these tool presets up here again. Let's choose the ones that we need. Create on vector always. We want rectangle as opposed to the square. The square, I hope, is explanatory. It means that all four sides are equal. The rectangle lets you draw any sort of shape that you like. We don't need a line style, we don't need a line width, but you can always make sure it's just to 0. And I think that's it, we're ready to go. So let's start just above here. We're on snap to grid still. And you can see I've got a little box now, can you see that? So we'll draw it up, and I want 1, 2, 3, 4, like so. And then let go of your mouse, and it should fill with your colour or your texture.
I can't find the answer to the question I heard.
Next, we want to edit that to have this pointy bit, for want of a better word. So how do you edit a vector shape? Well, first of all, let's click our little arrow to make sure we're on this layer that says new rectangle. You can click this, it's edit mode, but that only gives us the corners. It will only let us do this. It won't let us make a point. So how do we change that? Objects, convert to path. I'm not going to try and explain why this works, it just does, so let's just follow it. Now we need to add what's called a node. These are nodes on the edges here, these little squares, can you see them? And we need to add one in the middle. Now, because the snap to grid is on, it's going to make things a bit awkward, so I'm going to turn my grid off again. Remember, you can go to view, turn snap to grid off, or turn your grid off there, or you can use your keyboard shortcuts. So I'll just turn that off, and so we can see clearly. I'm going to zoom in with my mouse wheel. You can also use, I've got down here, plus and minus things that I've added. I believe there are some up on the toolbar there. Actually, I'm going to put the grid on again just briefly because I want to be able to count the squares to get my middle bit. Right, next we need to change to another vector tool. It's the one below here, it's called the pen tool. It's what you use for editing vector images quite a lot, and also for drawing lines, which we'll be doing later. So let's click that. Make sure it's in this here, this edit mode. And then where the blue line is of our centre guide, because we know we want it in the centre, put your mouse, you can see it changes to black with a little wiggly line. Hold down your control button and it will say add, and click once and let go. Now I've made a node in the middle, and it's darker than the others because it's been selected because I've clicked on it. If I clicked on this one, that would go dark, but this is the one we want. And now I can drag that up the middle. Now because Snap to Grid is on, it will actually go to one side, but until I've got it where I want it, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And actually it's made a liar of me because I've got Snap to Guides on as well. It's stayed dead centre, which is excellent. That's what I wanted. There we go. And that's the back of our envelope. Now we need to make the front. Now you could draw it again, but you don't need to. Rather than just being on this blue layer that says rectangle, click on this one that says envelope back, go to layers, duplicate, rename it straight away so that you don't get in a mess, envelope front, and save, because we don't want to lose anything we've done so far. Now you can click on the new rectangle under the envelope front layer and you'll see the nodes all become visible, but you still need, because we've changed layers, to click edit mode. This time I want to drag this centre down to make the envelope, and I think we'll take it to about there. You can see the lines and we can let go. Now you can't see the difference because we haven't got any shadowing or anything yet, but basically now we've got our envelope done. We've got a front and we've got a back. Apply the changes. And yes, we can't really see which is which, so let's do something about that straight away. To add drop shadows, you can do them to vectors using layer styles, but it's a little bit awkward and it gets a bit messy, and you can't do what we need to do later on, which is delete areas. So for this, I'm going to just click off that layer, click back onto envelope front, and let's duplicate it again. I always try to keep my vector layers intact until I'm absolutely certain I don't need them anymore. There's a little visibility eye toggle here. Let's hide our original vector layer. And this new one that we've made, we're going to convert it to a raster layer so that we can add some shadow. So it's layers, convert to raster layer. And now you see that we've lost that second bit underneath that said new rectangle. It's now just a raster pixel image. So now we want to add a drop shadow. That's under Effects, 3D Effects, Drop Shadow. And then we'll mess with the settings. There you go. So, vertical 0, horizontal 0 for this. I've set it to 100% opacity just for the moment so that we can see it, and it's got a blur of 10. The blur is what makes it stand away. We're going to up that blur to 20. We will if I can click properly. And I know it looks a little harsh at the minute, so let's lower the opacity to, what should we say? Let's go for 75. We can always alter it again in the layers. Yeah, 75, that'll do nicely. Make sure this box at the bottom is checked, shadow on a new layer. When you're doing a lot of shadows and stuff, sometimes you will, like we're going to be doing, want to get rid of bits. And so it needs to be on its own layer, not attached to your actual image. Let's click OK. And you can see it now under here, look. shadow one. Remember I said if it was too dark we can alter the opacity in the layers palette. That's here. If I click in there, look, we can drag it up and down as much as we like. So for instance, if I thought that looked better, then I can do that. I'm going to leave it dark so that you can see what I'm doing. And for the moment, I'm also just going to turn off my guides and grids so that we can see the image clearly. Now I want to get rid of the extra shadow around the outside. I only want this little bit of the inside. To do that, we're going to use our selection tool. Let's check our properties. It's a rectangle, that will do. Replace means that each time you draw with it, it replaces the selection that you had before. You don't want any feathering. That means it makes it soft around the edges. I don't want that. And you always keep anti-alias on, and it's set at normal. So then I'm just going to drag out from over here somewhere right up to the edge of my envelope, and then you can go to edit and clear. You can also press the delete key on your keyboard, and let's do this one from the bottom. I've got little red X's everywhere on my toolbars that I can use rather than pressing a key or going to the menu. Let's take this one off as well. Again, remember you can go to clear on the menu or press your delete button. Okay, so that's made that look flatter again. To get rid of selections, you go to selections, select none, or use the shortcut Ctrl+D. And let's save again. Now I want to add in just a little bit of detail so that we can tell it's an envelope. The first thing we're going to do is draw a line on the front that corresponds to this diamond or triangle shape there. We need the pen tool for this. We need to set our foreground colour because it's a stroke or an outline, and let's make our background transparent. I want a grey colour, and if you've got this standard palette thing showing here, then let's go for a grey, about that. I know, it's very precise, isn't it? About that. Over here we've got our settings. Draw lines and polylines. Connect segments we do actually want. It's not just one line we're doing, we're going to be doing two, so I want them to be joined. Create on vector always, because we like working with vectors. This is your line style, and you want to choose solid, and we want a width of, I think it's either 2 or 3, let's try 2 for now, and anti-alias. If you can't see, zoom in again a bit closer so that you can click on the corner. So you click once, drag your mouse to where you want it to finish, which is about there, let go, and then drag, lift up, and then click once in this right hand corner, and you can see it's joining the line there. And there we go, that's our line. Always click apply. Because we were on a raster layer of our envelope front, we've got a new vector layer there. I'm going to just call it line front so we know what it is. click the little arrow, you can see here it says new path. When you draw lines rather than new rectangles, they're called paths. So this is new path and it's this one. Now we want to have a look at that for what it might look like if we were going to print it. Here's another little trick that I learned a long time ago in PaintShop Pro. If you look up here, we've set our rulers, or my rulers were at inches. Now if you look here, this 1 to this 2 isn't anything like an inch in real life if you had a ruler in front of you. So you want to have this at a view that where that distance between the 1 and the 2 corresponds to an inch on a ruler. And the really easy way to do that is get a ruler and put it in front of your screen. Having said that, I've been using PaintShop Pro long enough. I know it's at about 30 to 33%. So I'm going to zoom out until I'm at 30%. I usually work at 30 and then I'm certain it's going to look alright when it's printed. So there's my line. If I do the same with this one, just so we can compare, how are we doing, do you think? Let's have a look. Is that line alright? No, it's not really dark enough, is it? So let's click on New Path. Make sure we've got our pen tool. Edit mode. It draws the lines, so it's not always easy to see the colour. And let's just go down a shade. If you're not seeing this standard palette, but you're seeing this instead, it's here, swatches. Right, let's click apply and have a look. Does that look better? Yeah, I think that one looks better. I like that. Now, I also want to do the same colour line across the back of the envelope there where the flap would fold down, but I don't want it on this layer above the shadow of the inside. It's a little thing and you probably couldn't even tell, but I'm a perfectionist, so we're going to go back to this layer, envelope back. We don't need a new layer. It's going to be quite alright to be drawn on the same layer as the envelope back. We can zoom in again. You can do that with your wheel if that's how you work. I'm just going to zoom up a bit. I'm going to put my grid back on so that I can make sure I draw a straight line. I've got my pen tool. I just need to click draw lines and polylines. I'm going to click at the edge there and just drag straight across and apply. And then if I go back out to 30%, turn my grid off and move it across so we can see. There we go. We've got our line. It looks more like an envelope now, doesn't it? Let's save our work. Cannot tell you how many times that's been a lifesaver. Right, what's next? Well, let's put some of these arrows so that we can see more of our layers. Well, I think next our envelope needs some shadow altogether. This time we're going to duplicate this layer, the envelope back. Now at the minute it's still highlighting this new path underneath, which we don't want, so just click out of the layer. There we go. And now we can go to layers, duplicate, and I've got a copy of envelope back. I'm going to hide this one with the eye like I've done before, but keeping my vectors in case I make a mistake. And this one we're going to convert to a raster layer. So now I've just got that one layer, it hasn't got all its little bits. And I'm going to add a drop shadow, 3D effects, drop shadow. This time I don't want all round shadow. You tend to think of light as coming from one direction, and I usually think of it coming from top left down to bottom right. So we're going to set this to 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But it's got a very big blur on it, and I don't want it looking as though it's floating right off the page. So I'm going to set this back down to 10. I'm going to change the opacity to 55 or thereabouts. I think that might do. Yeah, well actually, so what, let's leave it at 100, and I'll alter it in the layers palette. Shadow on a new layer. Okay. Let's go for 75. Yeah, that'll do. I like that. I'm going to save again while I think about what we do next. So the next thing is drawing the hearts. We want to go to our preset shape tool and click that. It's just loading them. Oh, it's telling me I've got a couple of duplicates. Now, when I was practicing this so that I could show you, the heart that comes with PaintShop Pro, if I can find it in all this, where is it? Well, no, it's here somewhere. Ah, there we go. This one, heart. I think this comes as, it does look, because it's telling me it's in coral. You can get this one with the program. I tried it and it looked a bit awful, to be honest, because it's got a bit of a kink in it. So we're not going to use that. You can see I've got one here that I've drawn, but I thought, well, you're not going to have access to that. So do you know what? You're going to learn to draw a heart. So the first thing I want you to do is make a new vector layer and call it heart. Let's put the grid back on, and for this we can zoom in because we don't need to know what it looks like at a printed size for now. I'm going to move it over though so that we can see our other one behind, just because it helps with sizing. So I'm just going to move that over there, and I've got this in far too much. Let's do that and move it over so we can just see that there. Okay, right, we'll start with the pink colour, so let's make our fill colour again, and we need to change this back to colour. And then we're going to pick a colour, and we'll pick this pink from here. And we'll click OK. I don't want an outline, so let's make that transparent, but I also always check that that's at 0. We do want create as vector and anti-alias, and I've forgotten we should be changing to this tool, the ellipse. It's alright, it's kept everything. Our width is still 0, anti-alias is on, create as vector, and we want this one, draw ellipse. We can do it anywhere for now. I just want to draw something like that and let go. Now you've already edited a shape once, so you know what we're going to be doing. We need to switch to the pen tool. We get a box, and again it won't let us do much other than make it bigger or smaller. So we're going to do convert to path. And now we've got an oval with 4 points. It's going to look a bit odd, but bear with me. Where it says this top one, I'm going to click it and drag it down. That's probably too much. Let's go for that one. I've got snap to grid on, which isn't helping really, but it'll work for now. These little handles are what make the curve. If I drag the handles out, it makes a bigger curve. If we pull them in, it makes a very small curve. Oops. And that's got itself in a mess because the grid's on. Let's turn the grid off. So I only want a little one there, so let's turn the grid off so we can do that. Like so. Try and make that level. This one, you can see it's going all the way up there, and I've got quite a point there, and I want it more rounded. So if I grab this and pull it in, like so, and we'll do the same on this side.
I can't find the answer to the question I heard.
Sort of level. And then I want not such a rounded bottom there. So we're going to change this node. We're going to drag it down a little, just to make our hearts a bit bigger, and push in our arrow handles. And now we've got more of a point. Now I think it's a bit too. There we go. And there you are. We've got a heart. Now it's not quite like that one over there, but it's still a heart, and it will work for what we want to do today. The next job is to put it into our envelope, and to do that we need to select all of these nodes. You can move it by clicking on that line, but sometimes that can be a bit fiddly, especially if you're not zoomed in and you want to see what you're doing. So you can drag around it. It will select all of the nodes, and you get a little handle in the middle, and you can drag it over. Now, it needs to be underneath the front of the envelope so that the shadow is over it. So let's drag the layer down. You just click on it and drag it underneath where you want it to be, and let go. Let's make sure we go back to edit mode. And now I've got to do what sort of size we want. So let's go back to 30% so that we can have a look at the size we want. We'll put the grid on, and if we look at this one, because these are all the same size, it's it's just under 3 squares. So let's make sure we're in edit mode, and let's pull it from behind there so we can just see it. And it's this is 4 squares at the minute, so we need to make it a little bit smaller. That's a bit tiny for us to see, so let's zoom in. What sort of size have we got? Not quite 3. Let's turn our grid. No, let's turn the snap to grid off so that we can just bring out our heart and we can see what sort of size it is. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it does want to be a bit smaller. Okay, and I'm going to make it a little bit flatter. The good news is you only have to do this once. Okay, right, that'll do for now. So let's go back to 30% so that we can put it where we want. We'll turn the grid off because we don't need it for the placement. And let's put our first heart there in the middle. I'm going to use a different tool just for duplicating and moving the hearts, because sometimes when you keep changing layers, the pen tool whips out of edit mode and gets into a mess and you've drawn lines everywhere without realising it. So let's use the pick tool. Plus we get a bit of a clearer box all the way around that we can see. Now, you're not going to have to draw this heart every time, so you can do something that's called cheating. Make sure this new ellipse there is still blue. Go to Layers, Duplicate, and it's made a copy. And you can just click on the little arrow and move it where you want. Go to Layers, Duplicate again, and it'll give you another copy, and you can move that one over here. And then we want another one, so we'll go to Layers, Duplicate, and that one goes somewhere there. And one more, Duplicate, and we'll put that one there. I'll zoom in a little so that I can see where I am and line them up a little bit better. I'm going to move this one over a little bit and move this one up. That's the one I want. You can click on it as well. And we'll move this one down. And we'll move this one down. So that's all our pink hearts. So now we're going to do the red hearts, but before we do that, rename this heart layer pink hearts so that you know what it is, and then add a new vector layer which is going to be creatively called red hearts. To get a pink heart onto a red heart layer without drawing it again, click on one of the pink hearts, edit, copy, click back on your red hearts layer and go to edit, paste as new vector selection, and you'll get a little outline. Put it over here so you know it's not one of the pink ones. Open that layer with the little arrow and then double click and it'll bring up this vector property box. We want to change this fill colour and we're going to change it to this red. Click OK, click OK. Now let's put our heart here, and then we need another one, so we'll go to Layers and Duplicate and put that one there. And now we need one more, and this one we're going to make bigger. So we'll put it sort of where we want it. and then you can use the pick tool for making it bigger, and because it's a vector image it won't lose any of its detail, it won't get all fuzzy. That's one great thing about vectors. You can, well look, if I make it really big, you can see I've still got lovely smooth lines. No, I don't want it that big, so let's make it a bit smaller. In fact, we'll make it a little bit fatter than the others. Put it there. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not perfect. It's not exactly the same because it's not the same heart shape, and if we had longer I'd fiddle with it even more. But I'm just showing you how you can make this relatively quickly. Right, there we go. That's hearts done. Let's click and save our image so that we don't lose anything. Click on the arrow to make those disappear all the way, so we just see red hearts and pink hearts. The next job is to add a bit of shadow to those, and again you do that in exactly the same way as we've done before. Click on red hearts, layer, duplicate, layer, convert to raster layer, and then effects, 3D, drop shadow. Drop it down to 2. It might be still too dark. Let's change it to 75. That will do. Do the same with pink hearts. Click on the layer, layer, duplicate, layers, convert to raster layer, effects, 3D, oops, drop shadow, okay, and save. The final thing is the ribbon. Now, when I made mine originally, this ribbon I pulled from a digital kit and recoloured, and you won't have that probably. You won't. In fact, PaintShop Pro didn't come with anything that would be remotely useful for you to use as a ribbon. Now, when I made this, I did it to be cut out on the silhouette so that I could just tie a proper ribbon around the envelope, and you certainly could do that if you wanted to try. For a digital one for now, I'm going to use one that I found that I made years ago, and I may put a link to that in the blog post so that you could download it, and it's here. So I'm just going to drag it over. Remember, you can drag and drop into this workspace. Oops, my mouse went a bit wild there. And it's opened this ribbon, which is quite a big ribbon actually. Now, if I do give you this as a download, it will be in a PNG format, so it will actually be transparent, and it'll have this checkerboard image behind it, and it'll be one layer, it won't have all these here. So I'm just going to quickly merge the visible layers so that it's just this one ribbon. And now I can actually drag that from this layer over here into this, and I've made sure that I was on my envelope front, so I'm actually where I want to be, above my envelope, and as you can see, that's absolutely huge. It's neither use nor ornament, as we'd say. So we need to resize it. You can go to Image, Resize, and we're going to do it by percentage. And you can see actually I've already got it set at 25 because I was practicing earlier. But if it isn't and you don't see all this down here, it might be like this, and this might say something like 100 or 80 or whatever. You want to click Advanced Settings, just double click that. We don't want to resize the whole thing, only the ribbon layer. So uncheck Resize All Layers, and you can type in 25% and click OK. There we go, it's a little bit better. Get hold of the pick tool and move it where you might like it to be. I think that'll do nicely for now. And we'll close this out of the way because we don't need it. And we need to change the colour of this. We don't really want a grey ribbon, do we? So remember the flood fill? If we just did that, we'd lose any shading. Now, I know you think, well, you can't really see a lot of shading there at 30%. No, but it does make a difference, honest. So let's just go in and you can see what we're going to do. Underneath here there's a little arrow, the colour changer. So click that. Next, it always uses this foreground box. Let's click that, and we'll make this one, instead of a pink ribbon, we're going to go for red. So choose the same red as your text, and then click inside the grey ribbon. Oh, I should have said tolerance. I've actually got it just set at 51 and an edge softness of 20. I don't tend to mess with these too much. Certainly you might need to practice sometimes with certain colours, but with this grey the 51 will work nicely. And can you see where I've got this little bit of shadow here? When I click it, it will keep that. And you may think, why have we got a grey line going across? That's because I'm underneath the line and I shouldn't be. So let's go back up. There we go. So now we've got our red ribbon with a little bit of shadow, but of course it's far too big, so we need to get rid of the excess. Click on the envelope front layer. Go to your selection tool, but this time choose Magic Wand. Replace as the mode, and in match mode, instead of none or any of these, just click all opaque. In other words, anything on this layer of the envelope we want to select, and click inside the envelope. You can see now I've got little marching ants, and I can get rid of this excess red ribbon. So go to Selections, Invert, and then press Delete on your keyboard. Oh no, you've got to remember to go back to the ribbon layer. Then you can press Delete on your keyboard or go to Edit and Clear. And now we've got rid of the extra ribbon. Select None. Now we just need to add a little bit of texture to this ribbon and shadow. The first thing we're going to learn to use is this. It's called a burn brush. It's for adding a little bit of darkness to things. Choose the default size of 50. Have a softness, because we don't want any harsh edges, so let's make it nice and soft. The burn brush comes with an opacity set at 10. Sometimes that can be too dark, but for today it actually works quite well. And make sure this time we're on the ribbon there. In fact, we'll call it ribbon. So we're on the ribbon there, and just along the edge here, where if it was a real envelope it'd be folding over and you'd get a little bit of a darker area as it goes around the back, just click once and twice. And then same the other side, once and twice. Use your wheel to zoom out to 30% and see whether that's going to be dark enough. I think it adds just enough. I don't think we really need much more, but I'll stick one more in. That will do. Now we're going to add a drop shadow to that ribbon. So Effects, 3D, drop shadow. And you can see that it's added the shadow underneath. I'm going to keep it at 2 and a blur of 10. And click OK. Now we could be clever and as a final thing use the warp brush, push mode. This is always your tools presets up here. Push mode. I've got a size of 50. Drag quality we don't need to worry about all this, but final apply is always best quality. Now let's zoom in again. You may think, what is she doing? Well, shadows aren't just straight across, are they? Sometimes little tails of ribbons hang a little further for shadowing. And also, where it's going around the edge here, it's actually going to be a lot tighter to the paper. See, I'm trying to be very proper. So we're going to just gently shove up that shadow, like so. You have to do it quite gently, and you just come down and just push.
Sorry, this feature is not currently supported.
I have to apologise, Alexa keeps thinking I'm talking to her. Let's do that. Can you see how it moves? So let's just knock it up a little so it looks as though it's tighter to the paper. And then on the tail here, let's just drag this one. Down a little. It makes it look as though the ribbon isn't just slapped on and stuck there. We'll just pull this out a little bit as well. And I'm just going to push that up again a bit there. And then when you're happy with it, you click Apply. And you're thinking, well, it looks a bit awful at 120%, and it does, because you're not working for 120%, you're working for what it looks like at a printed level. And that shadow is probably still a bit dark, so you're going to knock it down to 75. No, maybe a bit more. 75. That'll do. While you're doing this, you can of course fiddle with it a little bit more and make your shadow a bit more realistic if you wish to. But for now, that'll do. It's not brilliant, but it will do. And you've learned how to use an awful lot of tools. Finally, you can see I've actually got a red outline. So we ought to finish off and do that, didn't we? So let's go for our rectangle. This time it is actually an outline, it's a line that we want, so that we can swap this red straight up into our foreground. Let's try a width of 3 pixels. We've got rectangle and I'm creating it on a vector. I'm going to put the grid on to see where it falls. It doesn't actually fall anywhere near a grid line, so that's not going to help me. So I'm going to have to guess it for now and see if I like it. There we go. Just keep hold of the mouse and pull it until it looks relatively equal all the way around. See what it does? Let's go. So it's 3 pixels. Let's make it 4. And that's it. That's our last border. And let's save our work before anything untoward happens with our card. So there you have it. You've made a Valentine card. You've used quite a lot of the tools that PaintShop Pro has. You've used the text tool, the fill bucket, the preset shape, you've drawn an envelope, you've learned how to edit it with the pen tool, you've drawn lines, you've added shadows, you've deleted shadows, you've warped shadows. You've done quite a lot if you've managed to get through all this. And at the end of it, you should have something similar to this, the front of a card. You can print this out if you want to on white card. I'll show you that, how to get rid of the bit that you don't need. So this is your image. Let's just save it again to be on the safe side. And here's a quick way to get what you want to be able to print it. Hide your background with the eye. Go to Layers, Merge, Merge Visible. Go to Window and Duplicate. And then I want to crop around that white. So we'll go here to the crop tool, Layer Opaque. And for some reason it's going off and giving me some extra at the side there. So let's pull it in. And to make sure I can see what I'm doing and make sure I haven't gone too far, let's just zoom in. That'll do. And we'll click Apply. You can now save this card front for printing on anything white and click Save. There's a PNG or a JPG. JPGs tend to be a bit what they call lossy. In other words, it loses pixels the more times you save it. So PNG is also a good one to use, but you can use either of them and call it your card front print. Save. Congratulations, you've made a card. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.